Hi, how are you?
Doing okay. We have a new obsession in our house. Eleanor does. And I've sent you a few Snapchats, so you've probably seen. But she's obsessed with these rocks. So we've been learning shapes. Like we have some books with shapes and we've just been pointing it out and she's been repeating them and she's pretty good. She's pretty good
Yeah.
at most of her shapes. She has a hard time with square. She has a hard time saying square. So a lot of times you'll be like, what is this? And she just like won't answer because she has a hard time saying it. But otherwise, she's pretty good with shapes. But one of like the things she's really into and has been into probably for the past like month-ish is sifting through the sand and finding rocks. And there was one day Rob was doing it with her and they found an oval rock and she was like obsessed with this oval rock. Like completely
They're
obsessed.
so cute, the little
I know.
rocks.
And then she like lost it, right? So then like a week went by and I found another oval rock and we don't know if it was OG or not, but we found another oval rock and now we keep it in this little like container and we brought it inside, but she wants to play with it inside. She wants to wash it. She wants to like have her toys play with it. And then we found a second oval rock. And I think we even have a square rock in there now. So we have like three rocks in this little thing. But my gosh, like it's the cutest thing. She's so obsessed with it. But on the flip side, like we lose it every time we bring it out.
Oh
And
my
so it's
gosh, yeah.
lost in our house somewhere. And then Rob and I are trying to find it because she's like obsessed with this thing. So this is our current obsession are these oval rocks. And she has a little song and she is just constantly talking about oval rock.
I feel like it's such like a cute little girl thing because I feel like my son would never like
Yeah.
pay that much attention to one
To a
toy, let
rock.
alone a rock or something
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah, it's like her, I don't know. Yeah, that is really funny. And then yesterday we raked leaves for the first time and we were going to
Hmm.
have her like jump around in them or whatever, and I was like in my mind I was like she probably won't like this. Like she was the type of kid who like didn't like grass for the longest time, which I guess can be common, but it took her a really long time to like grass and just kind of the feel of things. Sometimes she'll touch things, she'll be like and just like give me that face. But she loved it. She was jumping around in these piles and she was going 1, 2, 3, and she would like jump in them.
Oh,
And then we had to scoop them up and she was really sad. But
yeah.
it was just really cute. It was like one of those rites of passages, I feel like, of fall is jumping in the leaves, which I haven't done. I haven't even thought about since I was like little. So it was just like fun to relive that.
Yeah, it's something that you do when you're little and then it's like
Hmm.
no longer fun. So
Yeah.
yeah, we have lots of leaves. I mean, we don't plan on cleaning them up, but we could probably rake them into a pile and he could try that.
Hmm.
That would probably be fun.
Yeah, and you get some cute pics too.
Yeah.
And then I had my appointment with an OBGYN last week. Yeah. And it was a midwife. So I see somebody new every time. I know most people when they go in, they like see. I just don't have like an OBGYN. My primary care always does that care for me. Like she does
Hmm.
my pap and everything. So I like don't have one. So when I get pregnant, I just go into the hospital system and they just kind of give me whoever's there. It's really not that big of a deal for me. I know some people probably want somebody specific, and I probably could ask for that. But I've been seeing midwives actually recently within the MFM. And this last one I talked to, we had a discussion about the VBAC. We had like a really really good discussion, and it was like it was interesting to talk about it because I had a discussion with somebody else previously. I think it was another midwife where I was kind of leaving like, I'm not sure if I want to try it, but then I
Yeah.
left this discussion like, actually I think I do, because like I've always wanted to, but I think there was this like weighing of, is this the right decision for me? But I was having this conversation with her and she was like, why did you end up having the C-section? I said it was basically a failed induction. Like they induced me, I didn't progress. And she was like, that's a perfect candidate for somebody to do a VBAC because there's nothing pointing to the fact that you can't actually give birth. Like it didn't get stuck in the birth canal. You didn't like actually push or do any of that stuff. And then I was telling her, because she was like, why did you get induced? And I was like, well, at the time of my last pregnancy, I was like primarily seeing this man OBGYN, or I'm not exactly sure his title, but he was within the MFM. And I was primarily seeing him almost every visit. Sometimes I would see somebody different, but I think I told you this, but he brought off that the research where if you get induced at 39 weeks, there's a less likelihood of you having to have a C-section. And he kind of brought that
Mm.
up to kind of push me into wanting to do the elective induction, because the whole
Oh,
time, every
yours was
time I talked to
elective? For some reason, I thought it wasn't elective.
him,
Well, I
yeah,
mean, it
well,
kind of was,
technically,
but
it
yeah.
was. I would be interested to know, like, because it wasn't in, it was elective, but then I went into that non-stress test, and there were some, I think, D cells in the heart rate, but they didn't seem overly concerned. They were just like, "Oh, you're getting induced tomorrow. Let's just pull you in today."
Okay.
Type of
So you were
situation. So,
probably having, like, early contractions that would
I was
cause
probably
the
having
D-cell.
something.
Yeah.
Right. And, like, again, I don't know if, like, I didn't have that induction scheduled, if we would have maybe done, like, a membrane sweep, or we maybe would have done something else to
Mhm.
maybe induce labor and get the baby out. But yeah, so that was kind of, and I was talking to her and I was like, "Well, what if I were to go past 40 weeks? Like, what is that?" Like, and she was basically
Mhm.
like, "No, we allow you to go." I think she said up to 41 weeks, and that
Yeah,
there
that's
really isn't any like risk, and that we would try to not induce, but try to um what is the right word? Basically make spontaneous labor happen, like the membrane sweep, or do other type of things to like try to induce natural labor on its own. But I left the conversation feeling really well, really good, and she gave me, it was like a consent basically that gives an overview of like the risks of a second C-section, and then the risks of doing the VBAC.
Mhm.
And honestly, they were like such minimal on both sides. It's just really kind of my decision. But I don't know. It was a good conversation because I've talked about it a few times with my doctor, but I haven't fully talked about it. And that was the first time we had like a really big discussion. I'm leaving thinking, like, okay, I think I want to
Yeah.
try.
Yeah. Well, that would be my first thought too, like, if you didn't have any medical concerns, like,
hmm
the soldier dystocia thing is a big
Yeah,
one too, and, like, it wasn't like she couldn't fit through you or anything like that. I mean, that would be my initial reaction too, but I feel like it's scary just from, like, what you went through to,
yeah,
like, just immediately go like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it." But also, like, if you can, I feel like your recovery is just gonna be so
I
different,
know. hmm
especially, like, just how you felt and everything, like, it was so different. Mine was compared
Yeah.
to the way you explained yours. So,
And that's what I was telling her. I was like, I want to have, and she's like, obviously there can be complications and you can have recovery. You do have recovery with a vaginal
yeah.
birth, but she's like, it generally is much easier. And I'm like, that's my want, because I have a toddler who's just very attached to me. And I just like having two with having a C-section. I'm just like very nervous on what that looks like. But like, I guess the only thing about a C-section that's, I'm like, that kinda is nice, is the fact that it's so predictable. It's,
It's
like,
planned, yeah.
predictable, it's planned, you know when you're going in, you know the outcome, and yet, like, if I decide to do a VBAC, I could go try labor again and again fail and have another C-section, and I was again, like, tired and all these other things, and, you just don't know. I could have a shoulder dystocia, I could
Yeah.
go through that. We don't know because I've never actually tried to have a vaginal birth. So that's like the only thing when I look at the two that I'm like, C-section has kind of above, but I just feel like the recovery is so, like, I just want that. I just want
So
an
different.
easy recovery, easier
Yeah,
recovery.
yeah. Well, and Eleanor wasn't huge, was she?
No, she was like 6 pounds and some ounces. I can't remember
Yeah,
the ounces off
yeah.
the top of my head.
It's not like you're having 10-pound babies. That
Right.
might be a
Yeah.
different discussion, but yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a big consideration, and I feel like you're just gonna know when you get to,
Mhm.
like, 37 weeks, you're just gonna be like, "Yep, that's what I'm doing."
Mhm. Yeah.
So, I mean, you could even have it scheduled and then he could come naturally. Who knows? You know?
Yeah.
Like
I just think it's gonna be so much easier for breastfeeding and for all these different things that I feel like I was, like, forcing the whole time,
mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
Forcing
Yeah.
my body to do.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. No. I'm hoping for me to still have a vaginal delivery cuz it was just such a different experience. Not that I've
Yeah.
had a C-section, but I just couldn't imagine
I bet you
knowing
I don't know
myself.
the percentage, but, like, I would think that if you had a vaginal delivery your first birth, the percentage of a cesarean the second is really low, I would
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking so. And like my body already knows what to do. So,
And you were induced, right?
yeah.
Do you think you'll try to do
Mm-mm.
natural?
Oh, I thought you meant get induced again. No,
Oh,
I am
okay.
not. Unless
Yeah.
there is a medical reason. And so that's the concern that I have. Unless there's a medical reason, I'm not going to elect to get induced
Yeah.
because that was just like
Mhm.
I would rather labor at home or at work and then go in once I like started
Yeah.
to feel super strong contractions. The only thing that scares me though is it's very common with IVF pregnancies that the placenta fails earlier,
Right. Yeah.
which is which is essentially what I talked to my doctor about. Like I didn't understand that when they said my fluid was low, that also and like my baby had restricted growth, that meant that my placenta was failing.
Oh.
And so after talking to my new doctor, I was like, "Oh, okay." She's like, "So if something like that would happen again, then yes, we would recommend induction, but it's not an automatic induction because you have IVF." She said, Most IVF pregnancies can't come up with the placenta starts to fail early, and so then that's why people would get
Mhm.
induced." And I was like, "Yeah, makes
Gotcha.
sense."
Yeah. I hate that, like, we find these things out after,
Well,
because
and
I was telling
honestly, like 3 days went by. Like I probably could have still like
Mhm.
gone into labor at that point and not known, you know.
Yeah, or done the membrane sweep or done something. Like,
Mhm.
the thing that like, left my doctor's appointment a little upset only because when I brought up the t trial or test or research or whatever the one guy had brought up, the midwife I talked to basically said, "Yeah, that's like, that research is highly discussed internally, and it's basically saying that it's, like, debated, whether or not
Mhm.
it's right or not," which I just feel so deceived as, like, a first-time mom, like, wanting to make the best decision for myself and my body and, like, leaning on these health professionals to tell me the best research, the best whatever to make it to the outcome that I was looking for. And I feel so, like, I guess, deceived kind of that they brought up something that was kind of debated in a way, whether or not it
Mhm.
was true. Because she was basically like, inductions a lot of times do lead to C sections.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, if they would have done the vacuum one more time, I probably would have ended up with a C-section. So,
Yeah.
yeah, who knows?
Oh,
Oh,
crazy. But what's going on with you?
a lot, but also you have a lot going on too. We have this new thing with blankets. Like, so we had a lot of blankets from when he was little that
Mhm.
our aunt would get from like TJ Maxx, and they're like super soft, like blankets that we would like wrap him up in around his swaddles or put over his swaddle. And they've been in his closet for a little bit because it's been summer, right?
Mhm.
And the last couple days, he just tries to bring these two blankets out of his
Aw.
closet. And so they're like
Yeah.
big blankets, and he's just like carrying them around the house. And then, like, the one he sleeps with now all of a sudden, or
Oh.
wants to sleep with a blanket. And last night he put a different blanket on and he like covered his arms outside of his sleep sack. So I'm like, well, maybe we're transitioning out of a sleep sack into a blanket here shortly. I don't know. And well, that has like kind of evolved into taking all of the tie blankets that we have around the house and like just putting them down and then falling into them, like kind of like the leaves, Like I don't know, and it's very entertaining to watch, and it just keeps him busy. So I think we're going to be building forts soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. So that's going on.
Blankies are so comforting. I can, like, see like, Eleanor lately has been, like, covering up with her I mean, she always has slept with her blankie, but it's always been, like, more in her face, but she, like, covers up with it now when she sleeps.
Yeah, yeah, Giraffe is, like, the size of his head, so that's not
Mhm.
gonna cover him up, so these are, like and I'm hoping, like, maybe I can use these blankets with, like, a transition with the pacifier. I haven't
Yeah.
really talked about it, but, like, he's super obsessed, and I think it was last week or the week before, we just made the decision that we're cutting it out unless it's a nap or bedtime, and or he does get it on the way to daycare in the morning, so that's the only other time. But, yeah, then, like, he'll ask for it during the day, he'll constantly ask for it, and then we'll say, "No, it's not. Are you gonna go to nap? Are you gonna go to bed? Then that's when you get it." So, I think we need to start
Yeah.
cutting that out just because he is so obsessed with it, and I feel like any longer or at least before the other baby comes, so I'm thinking I can
Mhm.
use these blankets with that, but I
Yeah.
haven't talked to Austin and figured that out yet. We also I don't even know how to like say this, but basically like had a family event where
Mhm.
my grandpa passed away this weekend, so that was kind of a lot and super unexpected. It happened so fast. He had gone into the doctor or the hospital on Tuesday, and by Friday he was in hospice and had passed Friday night. So we were
Mm.
all kind of grieving that this weekend, and it was very hard to like just go to a wedding and like I just felt like I wasn't there because I was like, wait, like
Yeah.
all this stuff is going on. Like I had to leave my baby with my mom who just lost her dad, and like yeah, it was just kind of a lot. But we're moving forward and we're all grieving and remembering all the good things about him. I think it was really cool because it was also my mom's birthday on Saturday, so her birthday weekend probably was
Mhm.
just like a mess up. But we got her this book. We all wrote a letter to her with like pictures, and so it was really cute. We did it for my nana too one time, but we all wrote these letters to her, and it was perfect because we had my papa's letter in there to her. So it was
Oh, that's
she's
really cute.
she didn't even open it, and she just started crying, and she's like,
Crying.
I can't read this here, I can't read it now.
Oh. Oh,
So yeah,
that's
but
hard.
I glad that she does have that memory, and we were able to get that ordered before that did happen. And then another event, I had my anatomy scan. That was well. Okay. So
Yeah.
for preface, and I want to ask you this about Eleanor and baby boy.
Yeah.
So Axel was like a 20 percentile baby when we did his
Mhm.
anatomy scan. This baby is like a 68 percentile baby. So like this baby
Mhm.
is thriving.
Yes.
Um which like did you have such a big difference in the anatomy scans or no?
I don't think so. I was trying to think back to Eleanor's, and I'm pretty sure she was, like, in the 40 like, 45-ish
Yeah,
percentile,
40 or
and
50 is what I wanna say I
mhm.
remember you telling me.
Yeah, and then this baby is in, like, the 50th percentile, so there's really not too much difference from both.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the only thing that made me nervous. I'm like, "Is this gonna be a big baby?"
I mean, my one friend who gave birth around the same time as I did, her second baby was huge, like, huge. And
Yeah.
he is already almost the size of her first kid. Like, he's just so much bigger.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, again, I mean, he's not, like, 99th percentile, but, like,
Mhm.
just from a difference of having, like, a 20 percentile, and then even after he was born, he was, like, a 7 percentile baby
Yeah.
until, like, he was 1, you know? And
Mhm.
now seeing this one at 68, I'm like, "Man,
Yeah.
your brother your
Oh,
brother's
man.
gonna have some competition."
Oh, man.
But he
Yeah.
was pretty calm, he barely moved. She almost thought he was a girl because the cord was over, like, the butt area, so you couldn't tell, and she's
Oh.
like, "Honestly, if I had to give you my best guess right now," and I'm not gonna confirm because I can't confirm, "but I would vote girl." And I'm like, looking at Austin like, "We already painted the room blue, like, what do you
You're
mean?"
like, "Well."
As we went to I went to the bathroom to try and get him to move, and when we came back, the cord wasn't there, so you could see that it was a boy.
Oh,
So,
okay. But didn't they like, my thing is, like, I guess that could be wrong. They could've, I guess like, but
it's the
didn't
blood
you
work.
test it? Like, test the well, didn't the embryo like,
No, I
didn't
didn't
you
test the embryo.
Oh, yeah, so you knew from your
The NIPT.
oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
okay. Yeah, okay, I remember now. Because for some reason when you told me originally, I was like, "Wait." But I know that NIPT tests can be wrong in very, very small circumstances, but
But, like, everyone I know, the NIPT test has been accurate.
yeah,
So, I'm like, like, I didn't think it was gonna be, and she's like, "The only reason I'm saying that is because I can't see because of the cord, but that would be
yeah.
my guess." And so then after I'd gone to the bathroom, she was like, "Yeah, no, it's a boy. I can see it right here," and she, like, pointed it out. I was like,
You're like,
"Okay,
"Oh,
perfect."
okay, good."
Because 'Cause I'm like, "I am happy, girl or boy," but I was just, like,
Mhm.
not ready for that surprise either.
Yeah.
So I think we
You're
might
like
need one more confirmation just for my
yeah.
mind to be at ease, but if so, the girls' room is gonna be blue, I don't care, it's fine.
I like blue. Blue's my favorite color. I'm a
Yeah.
girl.
But yeah, so he was not moving much, like, he was probably sleeping, but, like, we
Yeah.
couldn't get a good view of the heart the way he was sitting, so, and I purposely, because the last anatomy scan, I had a brownie before, so I purposely didn't eat anything sweet before because I got yelled at because my baby was moving too much, and now this baby didn't move enough, so we're going back just to get all the views of the heart to make sure everything looks well or whatever, and
Yeah.
but everything looked good so far. um
Yay, that's good.
yeah, so those are my updates. That's what I have going on.
Oh, that's a lot. We're always like 20 minutes in for updates, but that's okay.
I
That's
know.
okay. Okay, well, welcome everybody to the Mom Era podcast. My name is Megan.
And I'm Alyssa.
In today's episode, we're going to discuss our experiences with traveling with our little ones. It can feel like a big and tiring adventure. I know every time I travel, I'm like anxious through the roof and worrying that I'm going to forget something or something's going to go wrong. But with the right tips and tricks, it really doesn't have to be overwhelming. Hopefully, some of these tips and tricks will help people traveling for the first time.
Yeah, yeah. And whether you're planning a quick getaway, a long journey, we're sharing our practical advice, travel hacks, and real life experiences to help make your trips with tiny travelers a little bit smoother. I think we can start off with talking about our experiences with the trips we've made so far. And I'll dive right in unless you want to go first.
Okay. No, go for it.
So, and it was very interesting, just like the comment you just made about how, like, it can be so overwhelming just like not remembering something too. But we
Hmm.
have taken two different trips to Florida, one when Axel was 2 months old, one when he was 14 months old, so about a year apart. And it was very interesting. Like the first time we went, again, first time mom, I brought everything that you could imagine, bouncer, the monkey play gym thing, like everything you could possibly need. Did I use all of it? No. Um
No.
but and I felt so stressed out with like the fact of getting him to sleep because he was such a good sleeper, like just hoping he would sleep on the plane, hoping he would sleep
Yeah.
at nap time, even though people were in the background at the house. And like it was just a very different environment that he was in than he was used to at home. So I was afraid that that was going to screw everything up. Well, to my surprise, he decided to stay up. This was at the 2-month-old trip. So it's about a 2.5 hour flight to where we went in Florida. And he stayed up until 2 a.m. on the day before we went.
Jeez.
And we left for the
Of
airport
course.
at 3 a.m. So we got about an hour of sleep, but he slept the entire time until we
Mm.
got to Florida, and he didn't want to eat until we got to Florida. So it's probably like 6 to 7 hours just because we had a layover and stuff like that. Um, so that was just so helpful because he literally just slept on me or slept in my sister's arms. Yeah. So that was great. And then
And
literally,
that
oh, go ahead.
trip he was a lap baby, right?
Yes, lab baby. He
Yeah.
was 2 months old.
Okay.
Um, starting when we got to Florida, that was when he started sleeping through the night, like 10 hours. So it
Oh,
was, like,
yes.
amazing, like, that was, like, the trip that changed his sleep and everything, so that was great. We went again at 14 months old. This one I feel bad because I feel like these are things I should have known. If your child has an ear infection, flying is very, very bad for them unless you give them
Mhm.
Motrin or Tylenol before, because it's going to make it hurt more. So I planned the whole thing around like not nap time because I just figured he wouldn't sleep on the plane. Well, he slept because he was in pain in his ears because he had an ear infection. Then he vomited in the car seat while we're waiting to
Oh,
get onto
no.
the island. And this trip was just, it would have been so much more fun, I feel like, if he wasn't sick. But also,
Yeah.
like, I didn't know that the antibiotics that he was taking weren't working to get rid of the ear infection, so I was just assuming it was gone, and at this point, it just kept getting worse and worse, and we ended up in urgent
Mhm.
care. Altogether, I feel like it would have been better if he wasn't sick and if he had been walking at this point, because it was a lot harder to carry him through the airport, or, like, we always had to have the stroller, where when we traveled with him at 2 months old, it was like, I didn't need the stroller, I could just put him in the carrier and be done.
Yeah.
We did go on another trip, it was a 4-hour flight to Vegas, and this was when he was about 11 months old, and I tried to time this one around nap time and bedtime, and he was at that stage where, like, everything was just too interesting for him
Yeah.
to, like, go to bed. And so then that caused him to be overtired. And this one, we had tried to bring a car seat on the plane and it didn't really
Mhm.
fit in the seat. It was just like overall, the flying experience was very hard at this like 11, 12, 13, 14 month
Yeah.
stage before he was walking. And he was like heavier and could move around, right? He did end up sleeping a little bit. Obviously, he wasn't sick at this point, so it was a lot better of an experience. But I think my biggest anxiety was always the shift of like, how do we get him to nap? And like, when do we get him to nap? Because he was such a bed or car sleeper that I was always afraid that like everything was going to get messed up and then he was going to be overtired.
Yeah.
So I feel like with baby number two, he'll have to nap on the go a little bit more.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think overall, I probably won't do another 4-hour flight with a child
Yeah.
until they're at least, like, 3 and can, like, eat and, like, watch an iPad or play a game by themselves or something.
Yeah.
That's just too much. The 2-hour, 1 hour, 1.5 hour flight, that's okay with me, I'm surviving. And then we did do a 7-hour road trip for my sister's wedding a couple months ago, and that actually was fine. We did, like, a breakup, we did, like, 3 hours at a time, so he wasn't, like, in the car for
Yeah.
7 hours straight on the way there, but then on the way home, he was. We stopped for lunch and everything, and he did a lot better than I thought he would do in the car.
Mhm.
So that was fine. Car trips were fine. How about you?
Oh man. So we've taken, I would say, two long road trips, two flights. So the first thing we ever did was a 5-hour road trip just up north into, we were just in our same state, but drove 5 hours. And like breeze, that was a breeze when she was young, couldn't walk. I mean, you just had to be back there with her, basically entertaining her every so often, but she would sleep. And we have an electric car, so it kind of gave us those natural breaks to get out, move our legs, that kind of thing. But easy. Same with the 5-hour flight. We took a 5-hour flight to California when she was 9 months old. And again, there really wasn't a lot of planning that went into it. She slept or she hung out on our laps, and we've always bought a seat for her. So even at 9 months, she had a seat, and we had our car seat there, and she was just like so easy. It was just walking, like when she's become a toddler and started walking, that these have gotten harder. So we took a 12-hour road trip to Georgia when she was 14 months old. And that again, it went really well, but we did have periods where she was just so crabby and we had to pull out our phone and like put Miss Rachel on to just get to our next stop.
Mhm.
Because 14 hours is a long time. We did do it over 2 days, but that's just a long time for anybody to be stuck in a car. Would we do it again? Probably, but I think it just gets harder and harder the more movement and the more active that they are. We took a 2.5 hour flight to Florida more recently. So when she was 20 months, when we went to Disney. And even though it was a shorter flight, like again, this one was just more difficult. She is just more aware. She wants to play and do things. And so we tried to be a little bit more proactive. We brought a lot of different toys she hadn't seen before. So they were brand new to the flight. And then I also, this is something I do like every time we go on a trip, is I download YouTube Premium for a month. So I'll either pay for it or do a free trial if I have one available, and then just download Miss Rachel so that, like, if for some reason she's having a huge breakdown, I can like put that in front of her.
Mhm.
I remember on this last trip, I just needed a break at one point because she was just like so freaking active and she only wanted me. And I was like, I just need to, like, I'm so exhausted. Like, we
Yeah.
just took this early flight. And so I had like put Miss Rachel on in front of her. But I think I've learned a decent amount throughout like traveling with the kids and how it'll look different in the future. I don't know what it's going to look different, like how it would look like to fly with four. Like, do you just do two and two across the row? Like, I just keep thinking, I'm like,
Yeah, I
how
feel like
does just one parent take and the other one take the other?
I feel like
um,
it's gonna be, Rob with the toddler and you with the baby, because it's just
yeah.
like that's how it has to be.
I
Ugh.
know. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. But I think I've at least learned a lot on how to travel with one. So maybe we could talk about some of those like tips and things that we've learned along the way. Maybe we start with flying first and then we can talk about let's talk about flying with an infant because I think flying with an infant and a toddler can be a little bit different. So flying with an infant, like what are some things or tips that we have? Maybe I can go through all the tips for infants and you can go through all the tips for toddler
Yeah. Yeah.
and then we can kind of discuss. So, tips for flying with an infant, something I've found that works is booking direct flights. I think this is for a toddler too, just like being able to fly directly there if you can and minimize as much flight time as possible. If you do have a layover, just make sure that it's one that's conducive to the fact that you have a child and you probably can't run across an airport with a child. So give yourself that time to not rush. Did you ever do a layover with any of your flights?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Mm.
did one with the trip to Vegas. No.
Mm.
No, the last 2 trips to Florida. Both trips to Florida were layovers because they were, like, maybe 45 minutes to an hour layover. I was like,
Hmm.
"Oh, that'll be fine. That'll be totally fine," because we had a credit to use, so I used it through Southwest. And,
Yeah.
yeah, no, never doing that again. I will pay the extra
Yeah. I wouldn't
for
do it.
the direct
Hmm.
flight.
Yeah. Same. Another one is choosing the right seat. So, bulkhead seats provide more legroom, and some airlines offer bassinets for long haul flights. Now, I've never used a bassinet, but I have seen videos of some people requesting them, and then the bassinet's like kind of right in front of them, which is like so nice if you have like a young child that just wants to sleep. And then consider requesting an aisle seat for easy access to move around. So, if you're just you and you're with the baby, just make sure you can get in and out easily. We've always brought a seat for Eleanor, so both flights we've taken her car seat. It was so much easier with the infant car seat because it fit much better, and the other car seat didn't. And she was like kind of in an uncomfortable position to sleep where her head was kind of slumped. And so I don't know. I think next time I'd maybe consider buying one of those blow up. I don't even know what they're called, but they're like this product that you can buy where you can blow it up and put it on the seat and it basically makes the seat like a little bed. And so I,
Mhm.
I think I might consider doing something like that for Eleanor next time versus bringing her car seat on. But something I didn't know is they basically said that we needed to put Eleanor at the window seat so that if something were to happen on the plane, very unlikely, but if something were to happen, like me and Rob could easily get out and like grab her. But if that car seat's in the way, you basically are like trying to lug that thing and move it before you can get out.
Yeah, yeah, that's what they did to us, and,
Hmm.
yeah, carrying that car seat in the airport was a lot.
Honestly, the first time was fine because as an infant, we clicked it into her stroller and we used the stroller. And now the second time we were lugging that thing around
Yeah.
and it was I don't think we'll do that next time. We'll probably just check a car seat or rent one or something.
Mhm.
Feed during takeoff or landing. So we did this. So we would give Eleanor a bottle because that feeding can help with the popping or even give them a pacifier to help reduce that ear pressure. I don't know what that's like when a child has um, an ear infection, but it's supposed to help at least. If they
Yeah.
don't, they can help with that pressure, just like gum does for adults.
Yeah, or even like I would give him snacks. If he didn't want
Hmm.
his pacifier, then I would just keep giving him like puffs or something to eat during
Yep.
takeoff and landing.
I think this next one, packing light but like smart, is so important. And me and Rob are not good at this. And we haven't been good at this at all every time we've flown. And so we're going to have to probably change this, but bring really only the essentials that you need for that in flight use. So diapers, wipes, change of clothes, baby food formula, maybe some stuff you need. The problem is because we had 3 seats, I had a backpack for myself, Rob had one, and then we had one for Eleanor. And it was like I was carrying 2 backpacks. I was carrying Eleanor. I was carrying my purse. And then Rob had his backpack and the car seat because that's all he could carry. And it was just hard. It was hard. So we need to be better at this. But just carry as little as you can and check the rest.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Baby wearing or bringing a stroller. So I've never baby wore in in at the airport or on the airplane, but we've always brought a stroller and it's been really helpful to keep her contained from running around. You could check it right at the gate and then you pick it up right at the gate. And it's really nice. We didn't know that the first time when we went to California, and we checked it at the gate and then we walked thinking we were going to pick it up at the
Mm,
carousel baggage check, and Rob had to go all the way back and get it, so that sucked. But it is nice to be able to like pick it up and go right there. I wouldn't say it's like the easiest thing because you have to break it down. We brought a bag, you have to put it in the bag, and then when you have to get it, you have to zip it out. But at least it's like nice to have her. I think it's worth that hassle is worth like having it in the airport and keeping her contained and that kind of thing. So, did you guys bring a stroller
yeah,
in the
I
airport?
actually bought a travel stroller so it kind of folds up and it can fit in the above compartment, but I always check it at the
Oh.
gate too. So that was life changing because that was so much lighter than the heavy stroller that we both have, you and I. And
Hmm.
like just like carrying it around was so much easier. And then I did
Yeah.
baby wear from the time like we would get like drop the stroller off, I would put him in the carrier, and then until we like sat on the plane and got on the plane, then I would like unstrap him and get him
Mm.
situated.
Yeah, I'll probably do that with baby number two. Baby number two is where I don't know. We'll see
Mhm.
what that looks like. I don't know when we're going to travel once we have a second
Yeah,
again.
who knows?
I think this is a lesson learned from you because you've talked about this before, but bring extra clothes, not just for baby, but for yourself. So if you have
Yes.
spills or anything, if you're breastfeeding, if your cups spill, you have something else to change into.
Yep. Hmm. Yep. Make sure you take the time to pump so that you don't leak everywhere or feed your
Hmm.
baby. Yeah.
Yep. And then just stay calm and take breaths. And take breaks. It is stressful. I think as much as you plan and you do what you can, you're still maybe not all people, but you may still have anxiety about the whole thing. And that's just kind of how I operate anytime I travel.
Hmm.
If your baby does cry, just stay calm, try walking up and down the aisle to soothe them, that kind of thing. But those are our tips for flying with an infant.
And now we're going to talk about tips for flying with a toddler. So I think one that you've talked about a lot too is booking a separate seat for your toddler. I didn't do this when we flew when he was 2 months old or when he was 14 months old. I just had him as a lap child both times. And we got very lucky on one of the flights. It was either the flight there or the flight home. It was like us, like there wasn't a full flight. So he
Oh,
was able to
nice.
have his own seat anyway. but it's just so much harder to like have them on top of you and needing you as you're already sitting on a plane. So,
Mhm.
especially for a toddler, they want to look around, they want to play things, they want to do things, they want to eat. So then you can have that space for them.
Yeah.
I think they can, yeah, they can fly free up till 2, but
Yeah.
like I just couldn't imagine having Axel sit on my lap for 2 hours at this age right now. And
No.
he's not even 2.
I know.
Um, Pack entertainment, so snacks, toys, coloring books, download their favorite shows or games on a tablet, introduce a new toy or activity to keep them engaged longer. So we did a lot of snacks, we did a few toys. We also had the screens, so he could like play a game with Austin or something on there.
Mm. Mhm.
But then a lot of the time we would just bring the tray down and he would like just play with his thing on the tray,
Play with
whatever
stuff
he
on
was
there.
playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Again, snacks, snacks, snacks. Honestly, like, that was the best thing with him at 14 months old. I just kept feeding him. Like, that was the only thing that kept him quiet and calm. He just kept eating. Encourage movement before boarding. So, I think a lot of parents do this, and this isn't something I thought about, but just having him, like, run around or move around. I am, like, terrified of just letting him kinda, like, walk around at
Yeah.
the airport, but also he wasn't walking, so there wasn't like, I'm not gonna let him, like, crawl around on the floor.
Mhm.
If he was walking, it would be different, but that way you get the energy out before you get on the plane.
For sure. Yeah. Eleanor, this last trip we took when she was 20 ish months, we did that where she was like walking around a bunch. We walked with her. Like we tried to just get that energy out
Yeah.
because she wasn't going to be able to do it. It was really helpful. It is hard. And Eleanor is at this stage right now where like she's pretty good at holding your hand, but then there's a point where she's just like, no, I want to run and walk wherever, you know, and it's hard
Mhm.
in the airport when there's a ton of people. And the Orlando airport, that's the worst. I think that's the worst airport I've ever been to. It was terrible, absolutely terrible, crowded. Like,
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah, I'm literally like, if we go to an airport or, like, I think I'm just going to get that leash thing because
mm-hmm.
my toddler will not hold my hand. He just rips my hand out of his hand out of my hand. So,
Yeah,
um, yeah, he's going on a leash. I don't care. I don't. No one's taking my child.
yeah,
That's
seriously.
how I feel. Plan for takeoff and landing. So chewing is something that we mentioned, helps with ear pressure. Sippy cup, pacifier, snacks. So this is something that even though Axel does take a pacifier, or he didn't want like his water at the time, or he didn't want his pacifier at the time, so I had to give him snacks. Just kept him eating.
Mm-hmm.
A lightweight stroller, so a travel stroller, something that can fold in, that can go either above you in the seat, or it's just so much lighter for you to carry, so you can check it at the gate. Like honestly, the stroller we have just opens with one hand. It's really a great invention for
You
traveling.
should you should send me that stroller because we've just used the Bravo and it's a
It's really
heavy
heavy.
big stroller. Yeah,
I have to use two hands with that thing.
yeah. I mean, I guess we could use an umbrella stroller, but the nice thing about like a slightly bigger stroller is that you could put, you know, a backpack down there.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. The one that I have has space down there where you could put something, but also like the umbrella stroller probably is good too. I'll send you
Hmm.
that one. It's the Bombi one,
Oh, is this
BOM.
the one you've? I think I've seen it. This is the one you've used it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Okay, you did
Yeah,
send me this one before.
yeah. I used it a lot up until now. We just moved and moved it out and put the bigger stroller in my car just because it has the cup holders and the snack
Hmm.
tray, because now he can eat and sit up and do that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Bring a tablet or headphones, so your toddler's favorite show, or download them onto your phone, like Megan said, and then headphones for them to listen to it and keep them entertained during the flight. Obviously, we all don't want iPad kids, but sometimes you need to pull it out, and
Yeah,
that's okay.
there's exceptions. Pulling, I think,
Uh,
is a good one.
yeah, prepare for messes, have wipes, change of clothes, disposable bags. This is very handy. I mean, I've used all of that on traveling as well.
Yeah, something I did this last trip that I didn't do previously is I bought like sanitizing wipes. So it's not like what you use to wipe their diaper. They're like actual sanitizing wipes for their hands. And that was so, so helpful. Like, I just want to keep those with me all the time now. Now keep them in the diaper bag because
Mhm.
I'm like,
So you
how
can
have I gone almost 20
yeah.
months without doing this?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we use wipes all the time, like, after he eats, wipes his hand, his
Hmm.
mouth, like, we use them so often. So if we had something that was sanitizing, like, wipe down the table, wipe down the
Hmm.
area that you're eating on. Give clear instructions, so explain the flight process to your toddler, let them know we're gonna sit still while the plane is going up. After we land, we'll get out and explore. That will help them comprehend and, like, know what to expect. And then stay patient and flexible. Always expect the unexpected, stay calm. They're unpredictable. Flexibility is going to be key. And it's just not all rainbows and sunshine. It's not going to be. So don't have those expectations.
Yeah. And you might have a great trip one time and then a shit show the next. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
different
you
from
never
time
know.
to time, too. Okay, I'll quickly go through road tripping with a infant or a toddler. So one of the biggest things is time your drive around naps. So if you can, drive when they're napping, or
Hmm.
even bedtime. We one time left when it was like close to bedtime and drove, throughout the night for a while, and it was really helpful because she was just asleep.
Yeah.
Frequent breaks. So they say if you talk to your pediatrician, at least this is what my pediatrician said, is that it's good to get them out of that car seat after 2 to 3 hours. You really should keep them in there much longer. Now, of course, there are times you're going to have to, but if you can, every 2 to 3 hours, try to take a break, allow your child to stretch, get a diaper change, get some food. It also gives you a break from driving, which is nice. You can let them run around. I've seen people stop at parks, or if you're road tripping, you can stop at something you could see along the way. Rest stops, even, are a good place to stop to just stretch your legs if you need to. Pack smart, so keep essentials within reach. This was always really helpful for us. We would have like the bin of things and toys and food that we wanted while we were driving that was like easily accessible. And then even like diapers and everything that we needed, it was all right there. So just make sure you're not packing that away in the back where you have to like stop the car and get it out. Just make sure it's like a good area for you to.
So I did that, right? I
Uh
packed
huh.
all these snacks. I packed gum. I packed my nausea, like, candy things,
Yep.
because I was like 8 weeks pregnant when we did this. And yeah, my husband thought it was garbage and threw it out. I was like,
What?
seriously? Like,
Oh
I
my
packed like all the extra food that we had in our house to like eat and like stuff that I knew I would like. And so then we like had to go to CVS and get some extra snacks. And yeah.
God. Oh my
So make
God.
sure your husband doesn't throw it out. Cause I was
Communicate with your husband.
Yeah, I was walking by him and I'm like, "Oh, that's weird that he's, like, taking that bag back, like, that
Mhm.
way," like, I almost said something, and I was like, "Where are you going with that bag?" But I was like, "I don't wanna be annoying," like, he put all the stuff in the car, whatever.
Yeah.
So I didn't say something, and then we got to the next stop, and I was like, "Where's our snacks?" And he's like I was like, "You had it in your hand when you went back to go put the cart in the hotel." He's like, "Oh, I
Mhm.
thought that was garbage." I'm like, "Did you look in the bag? What about a whole box of Cheez-Its or, like, gum made you think it was garbage?" I'm like,
Oh my
so yeah, that was
gosh.
fun.
Oh man. Oh geez. Yeah. Um Another one is use a car seat mirror or a camera. So this lets you see your infant or toddler as you're driving to see if there's anything wrong if you and your partner are both in the front seat. And then also it was really good for us to just have that back seat accessible. So like if Eleanor was getting really fussy, I could jump back there and sit with her. This is going to be
Mhm.
harder for us when we have baby number two because we're going to need a bigger car. But that worked. White noise or calming music. Eleanor loves music. We generally would just like play music for her the whole time that she was awake. Or if she was going to sleep, we do have a portable like white noise machine and would put it by her car seat if we needed and turn that on. We stopped doing that more when Eleanor has become a toddler, but we did it a lot when she was an infant, younger. Bring their comfort items. So bring their favorite blankie, so giraffe or like Eleanor's blankies, just to create that comforting, familiar car environment. Honestly, we take her blankie all over the place with us, and my mom created like a
Mhm.
travel one too, so it's been really nice to have. And then engage in card games, so play classic games like I Spy, sing songs, or tell stories to pass the time. You could have a tablet, obviously, download the shows and play them in the car if needed. And then prepare for emergencies. So have an emergency kit with extra clothes, diapers, formula, snacks, first aid kit, just anything you might need on the go. And then, of course, be flexible. Build in extra time for unplanned stops or delays. I would say just you can have an expectation of when you're going to arrive, but definitely be flexible on that expectation if you have a young child with you, because anything can happen. If your
Mhm.
child gets restless, just be prepared to pull over, do what's best for them in these moments, even if it's not a part of the plan.
Yeah, and it's hard to do that, but um, I feel like we do that as a parent now. Anyway,
hmm That's
we just
been
have
like
to
one of
learn.
the hardest things for me is just like I want to get somewhere on time, like just being flexible about that because every time we're about to leave, Eleanor's pooped. It's
It's literally like a mind shift. Like you have to change your
Mhm.
mindset to
Mhm.
like just be okay with it now.
Yeah.
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 It can be hard to do too. Take a little while, but
Yeah. Well, I think that's all that we have for our tips and tricks. I think we've both had a good variety of experiences driving and flying at different ages so far. So we hope that this helps you just in terms of preparing for your next road trip or flight with your child. And always remember it's never going to go the way that you expect it. But yeah. So I think we should go into our mom eras.
yeah, what mom era are you in?
I'm in my and I only thought about this because you put down the word water when
Mhm.
you were talking about your mom era. Well, you haven't gotten there yet, but anyway, I only thought about this because you had the word water in here. So, water bottle. Axel always likes to take my water bottle and drink from my cup, or like if he sees a regular water bottle, he'll play with it. I actually had, he was like his pants were already dirty, so he was just in a diaper and a shirt, and we were in the bathroom and he picked up the water bottle and he wanted a drink. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to unscrew the cap and then I'll let you take a drink by yourself, you know?
Mhm.
And it was so funny because he kept like holding it up a little bit and like was really confused, like why it wasn't coming out, like why it wasn't in his mouth yet. And so then I was like, okay, well, you got to go slow because then he would go really fast and then he'd be like, what, like all this water, what the heck? So then I was like helping him go slow. And every time I would lift it up, he would like push it back down. And I'm like, okay, well, we're not getting anything if you push it back down. So it was just very funny. And then he ended up doing it and it's just spilling all over his body. So we had to change. But I thought it was a good thing because normally I would have been like, no, you need to go get your cup and blah,
Mhm.
blah, blah. So it was a good mom moment for me to just accept the inevitable. And
Yeah, and that's a good learning too. I'm pretty sure is it by 2 they should be able to like hold and take a cup and like kind of drink with it. I think it might
yeah,
be 2 or 18 months or something like that. But I read that and I was like, "Oh man, we haven't started that at all
yeah, we haven't
because
done
we
that
just
with
give sippy
open
cups."
cups. Yeah.
Yeah, so we
We
have been starting to.
do you have those munchkin ones where it's like just like a cup and then it comes out the side?
No, I heard those are like really bad for like sucking or I don't know.
Oh, really?
I haven't
Oh,
done
it
a ton of
right
research on it.
out. Oh, I really like them because they like. I mean, they're not like completely spill proof, right? Like if he
Mhm.
holds it upside down, he'll like soak himself with it. He'll shake
Yeah.
it. But like from like a general perspective, if it falls over or whatever, it's not like dripping everything out. It's really taught him how to like pick up the cup and like tilt it and like drink it that way.
Mhm.
So,
We've been learning Eleanor's really obsessed with fruit cups, and so she likes to eat the fruit, and then she likes to hold the bowl and drink. And so it
mm,
started with us holding the bowl, and then I need to do it, I need to do it. So now she's been doing it, and she does really well. Like that's probably how she's been like learning to do it the most is,
mm-hmm.
and then she'll want water in it, so we'll put water in the little cup.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel like I need to practice with an open cup more or open water bottle more. But yeah.
Yeah, it's messy.
And then we also are kind of like a dinosaur. We do this thing where like we'll just like see my grand or my mom and just start making dinosaur noises and then my mom will always be like, "Oh my god, you scared me. Oh my god." And so then he's like roar with his hands, and I'm gonna send you a video
Aw,
of this because it's so funny. But yeah, like they sent me a funny video while we were at the wedding, and I was just dying because he's just so funny when he has this little dinosaur personality. So yeah.
that is really cute. I got these dinosaur slippers for Eleanor. So we wanted to get her slippers, and there
Hmm.
was a bunch of them. They're so cute, like all kinds of slippers. And we bought them at Walmart. And she wanted the dinosaur ones. And I feel like you need to get them for Axel.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, we'll have to get them because I don't have any slippers for him.
Yeah, we have a hard time because our floors are really cold. And she doesn't like
Mm,
to wear socks. We don't like to have her just like wear socks around the house because it's slippery. And so we wanted to get something with grippies on it.
yeah.
So my mom era, I have been terrible. The reason I put water on here and I'm trying to actively be in my water era, water mom era, where I'm drinking a ton of water because since my first glucose test, I was like, man, I just am not drinking water. And I have water bottles, but they're just so small and I felt like I was filling them up 1,000 times a day. So I ended up buying this big guy,
I was gonna
which
say,
is like
what
40
is that?
ounces.
Because you should have got a brewmate.
I don't know, Contigo. It was just cheap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I like
Not
it.
a
It's fine.
Stanley. But yeah, no, it's cute. We
Yeah,
both have
no, not a
purple.
ceiling. I know.
But
Yeah, so it's 40 ounces.
this one
What
is
is
40 ounces and
Oh,
it's
that's nice.
like spill proof. And that the only reason I got it is because Austin or Axel always wants to drink from mine. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Eleanor's been like that too. Mama's watty.
yeah. Is it helping you drink more water?
Yeah, it is because
Okay,
my thing is I want to at least drink my goal is to drink 3, but my like at least 2 of these a day. And so I like can have an idea of like what I'm doing and I have to fill it up less and yeah, I've been doing way better. So
good,
woohoo me.
good.
Um
Yeah, I feel like I've just been so much more thirsty for water. I don't know, like
Me too.
even yeah, even if I do drink other things, like I'm just like, oh, I need water. I need water.
But my problem is I think I wasn't drinking it, so then I'd get to a point where I'm like, "Gah, gah, gah," like just and I'm like, I'm so thirsty. But if I'm like drinking it throughout the day, I'm less like that. But
Hmm.
yeah. And then I'm so excited about this as a girl mom, but we're finally in our little ponytail era. For the longest time, Eleanor hasn't allowed me to like touch her hair, do her hair, and I've just respected that. Like I'm not gonna do it if you don't want me to. It's not like it's in her eyes, but lately she's been all about it. And so I've been able to put like little pigtails and little ponytails in her hair, and I'm just dying because she's just so freaking cute. I can't handle it.
No.
So those are my ears.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've tried to put Axel's hair in a ponytail, and then he just like looks it out because the back hair, because he has the mullet, is like super long,
Yeah.
and he always like touches it with his hands while he's eating. So if I put it in a ponytail, he won't touch it.
Oh
And
yeah.
so yeah, but he hates it. Austin's like, "What are you doing? Stop putting your kid's hair in a ponytail." I'm like, "It's
I'm like,
fine.
this
It's
is
just eating."
better. It's
Yeah.
cleaner.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so that is our episode. All of our advice for traveling with infants, toddlers, and obviously all of our updates that we have. We hope this is helpful and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at momera_podcast or email us at momerapodcast@gmail.com. We will see you in 2 weeks.
Bye bye.
Bye.